a more broken down way of how to hold traditional grip. If we start with the same thing, put the American flag in between your pointer and finger and thumb. If you just start like this, just start hitting the drum, and you're still getting the same wrist rotation without any of the fingers for control. So yeah, the stick's gonna like do little circles instead of have a straight path, but just start like this. Just start rotating. Something I saw online is when you're practicing traditional without your sticks, you're like drumming on a table, doing this is good because it still represents the wrist rotation you're gonna have while doing actual traditional grip with a stick. So once you feel more comfortable with this motion, you're gonna I would put your ring finger on next. This one is the one that goes right here, let's see. Right here, right above that nail bed. And like I said, it's gonna hurt. You'll get like a callus maybe, or you'll just get used to it after some time, but it is gonna feel like it's kind of digging into your nail bed if you don't play traditional very much. But it is the most ideal spot to have it. A lot of things I see beginner traditional players do is they'll put it kind of like how I mentioned, resting the thumb here, like in the middle of the finger. I'll see people put the ring finger, like the stick, like kind of on the middle of the ring finger. You can get so far playing like this. I did until I fixed it. It's not very ideal though. It doesn't exactly trap the stick into not going into the circular motion, and it makes it a little bit harder to play to your fullest potential. So I heavily recommend practicing it with the finger or the stick resting on the nail bed. You might have to take a day or two off if it hurts from intensive practice. That's what I did. It'll get used to it over time. So like this. Playing with the same wrist rotation we talked about before. It's doing the same thing except it's not going in circles, you'll notice. The stick is a lot more stable. And I would add the pinky next. The pinky it sits under. You'll see some people have it perfectly under, but I think this is fine. It sits under the ring finger, and it's really just there for extra support. So it's about the same as before. Nothing crazy changed. Next would be the pointer finger. This one, see how it's resting on the stick. It's not pointing down the stick like this or pointing on the stick like that. It's resting. You can see it's resting on the I and the R of Vic Firth. And then the thumb would therefore sit on like this part of the pointer finger, not back here or up here. You want to keep it here because now the thumb is just going, it's just naturally pointing this way, so it's not straining your thumb. So like this. Your pointer finger is going to be used for, like, you could say pushing down. You could say that the pointer finger is pushing down. You don't want to like squeeze with it still or anything or have it too loose, but it is there. It helps with your rebound. When you get rebound from the stick, your thumb and pointer finger are going to catch it. And kind of like in match grip, where you're using your fingers to keep the stick moving up and down, kind of like that. The pointer finger is going to be there for, closing the stick off instead of letting the rebound like fly it back up here. If you're playing something more down here like a roll, anything really fast, you need the pointer finger to be able to not let it fly away. You also don't want it to choke it and play rolls like this. That I kind of feel my wrist freeze up when I do that too. So it's kind of just arm being used on that. But you want your pointer finger to feel like it's helping with the rebound. And last is your middle finger. This one, it's kind of doing the same thing. It's kind of hard to get it all the way around like this, so mine kind of sits where that part of the middle finger I can feel resting on the stick. This one is where there's some like differences between lines. Some drum lines have the middle finger wrapped on like this. Some kind of have it hovering like this, and some do a little bit of both. I watched some different videos, and what I find most comfortable is letting it rest on the stick and still having it help, because it can still help with rebound. But playing anything really, really fast, I feel comfortable to just let it hover off just like this. Nothing too crazy where it's flipping you off or kind of just wandering, because you want it to be able to come back onto the stick once you're done playing that roll. Some videos I've seen, there's a lot of on and off and on and off. It's personally how I like to do it. And still with the wrist motion. I don't know if you can tell, but the stick, I guess, kind of comes off of the ring finger during that with the rebound, but notice how it still ends in the same place. You don't want it like flying off like this or anything wild, but it may lose contact for a second. But that's what these fingers are for, is to catch the stick and kind of like throw it back down. So it's not just your wrist rotating on its own. It's not just the fingers working on its own. It's like a team effort. So for like those double stroke rolls we talked about, you don't have to take the middle finger off, but if it's really fast and it's kind of getting in the way, some people naturally let it come off. So that would be like an example of this. See, it just came off just a little bit. For match grip on the right hand, you're going to start not holding the stick too far up or down. You're going to start with the thumb placed on the American flag. And then you're going to wrap your pointer finger around. This is your fulcrum. These are the two fingers that don't move off the stick while you're playing. You take your bottom three fingers and wrap them around. Not too much or too little like this. You want them wrapped around. These are fingers that move while you're playing, so you'll be seeing a lot of like DCI lines where they're playing like rolls or anything super crazy. You're going to see the fingers activate. A lot of what I see is just like all wrist or all arm, no fingers. Or I have seen too much fingers where it's like doing that. You just want you also want to make sure not to move your thumb like this or this. You want to keep it on the flag. That's a problem I have, is while I'm playing something, the thumb may slip off like this, and this bottom part of your thumb may be resting on the stick, but you can see the flag, so you know your whole thumb isn't resting, and then you might end up start squeezing your fulcrum. You don't want to squeeze the fulcrum, but you want it to be more snug than your bottom three fingers. These bottom three fingers are just sitting on the stick, but they're not necessarily hanging off the stick. Okay, for the actual setup of how you're going to be playing, your playing position, once we get carriers adjusted, you'll want this bend in your arm. You don't want this or this. You'll have a slight bend in your arm. You really shouldn't feel it too much. And with the actual sticks themselves, after you put them right in the middle of the drum, you'll make like a little pizza or 90-degree angle with both of the sticks. With traditional, it's a little bit different. Down to me and Scott's personal preference for comfortability, it doesn't quite make a perfect triangle facing you. It'll be more on an angle with your traditional arm being out more, which if it's comfortable and doesn't affect your playing, it really isn't an issue. Your traditional arm is going to be a little bit higher, just a little bit. Now, how to actually play with the traditional grip. You're going to want to do like this. You're going to want to use some arm. You don't want to use very much arm. Kind of like match grip. You're going to use some arm, but it's really only when you're playing at fortissimo or anything like visually, like through the drum. You're going to start with rotating your wrist. It's a little difficult to get it all the way up here. That's what, when some people, like DCI lines, they're playing something crazy, they take the middle finger off for a second, it gives it just a little bit more room to move up. Now, moving like this is a foreign movement for non-traditional players, so just getting this down is the first step. When we like chop out and stuff or play anything really fast and difficult, you want to feel it in your forearm. If you feel it in your thumb over here or in any of these fingers, you're probably squeezing. You could be squeezing this too hard. So if you let this breathe, let the fingers move just a little bit, not fly off the stick or anything crazy, that should free up the grip. It's natural for it to start squeezing if you're sweating while playing or getting really tired like during a chop out. But if let's say you're chopping out on your own, don't keep moving up the tempo if your technique gets poor. You want to be able to play something at the fastest it can be while your technique is still maintained. A round of 8s with proper traditional grip would look something like this. Something for double stroke rolls, first couple bars of dinner rolls would look like. Practicing short, long, and the first, I want to say it's 2 bars of dinner rolls, is a really good way to develop your double stroke rolls and your triplet rolls. So for short, long, that would be. Like our 9 in the show or the triplets or any of our rolls, we could play the check pattern, which is just the part without the rolls. So instead of, it would be, or for short, long, it would be. Now we have a 9-lit in movement 2, and as I was going over before, playing the check pattern would just sound like, and then you can add on they're called padidas, and those are the 2 left-hand inner beats, so it would sound like, you could start by just adding 1 left, so you're gonna feel the triplet pulse, the quarter note triplet pulse in your right hand. So if you were to play just the right hand or play the left on the rim, it's gonna sound like. This is about the best angle I can get, but for traditional grip, it's still gonna be like that fluid motion of going up and down in a line, just using this different motion. But you're gonna want to make sure like it's just the wrist moving. It'll make the arm itself turn a little bit, but you don't want to see like that. That's lifting the whole thing. See, for a roll this slow, like, I don't think the middle finger really needs to come off, but if we're playing something like, that fast, you could take the middle finger off if it's more comfortable. I don't think we'll get to crazy tempos like that, but some groups who do get to really, really high tempos and they're playing like 16th note rolls, yeah, then you can take the middle finger off, but just for where we're at, it doesn't really need to come off. Match grip keeps doing the same thing that it was doing before on the right hand. The only thing that's really new is just how the left hand is being held. This is used in WGI and DCI lines, so more of your higher up groups. Unfortunately, a lot of those groups don't do match grip, meaning if your high school does match grip, then you have to learn traditional if you want to play snare drum in another group. I also think it looks cool, so I advocate for learning it. One final note I'd like to make is every other drum line has a different way of playing traditional. It's still similar skeleton structure, but sometimes the way it's played or the specific angle or way you have the sticks angled, all of that varies upon each line. So this one's the way we do it. Meaning if somebody's telling you that your traditional is wrong or not doing something right, that's the way you were taught by your instructor, and that's the way your line plays it. It feels comfortable and you're still playing the music in the correct way. There's no problem with how you're doing it.